Hi, folks, and welcome once again to a Points of Interest show. I'm Gary Gauldin, and today we've got
Brad Alston, B-Rad.
Known as B-Rad. That's right. And we're here today with a special show talking about the South Florida Drone Meetup. We're going to have a really fun time talking about that. You just got back from that, right?
I'm still recovering from that, kind of a jet lag-ish, if you will, but just I drove,
Sure.
so yeah, I'm still
Drove
recovering.
the whole way there and the whole way back, and you didn't just go there, you actually hit some other stuff we'll talk about. But hey, and then the next thing we're going to get to in just a few minutes is a interview with none other than Captain Ray Kelly himself, right?
Our host of South Florida Drone Meetup.
All right. Hey, let's get this show off the ground. Exploring the people, places, and technology in the growing drone industry. This is the Points of Interest DroneCast. Hey, welcome once again. We got a great show, and we're going to start things off with our interview with Captain Ray Kelly. Now, you've known Ray for a long time now, haven't you?
Yeah, probably known Ray for a little over 5-6 years now, I guess. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd seen the podcast a couple times, just kind of going through, and just hitting it by chance. And then when I knew you knew him, and then like 2 weeks or so after I met you, you were on his show as the guest. Right. So, it was really funny. Very small world, very quickly.
It is.
And he's a really neat guy. He's very popular with the entire drone community. And so when he was going back down there, I said, you're going to go down there and you're going to get an interview with him. So here it is, Captain Ray Kelly.
All right, we have here Mr. Captain Ray Kelly. He's the host of the South Florida Drone Meetup event that we have yearly. We just completed the 5th annual South Florida Drone Meetup yesterday, April 5th, 2025. And I'm here with Ray and getting a little bit of information on his background. Ray, how you doing today?
Good, Brad. Good. Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you. It was a great event. I'm looking forward now to number 6, our 6th annual. What inspired you to get into drones, and how did your journey in the drone community begin?
Well, I tell you, I always was intrigued with aerial photography. Back in the day, when I was a detective, I would go up in the police helicopter and we'd get aerial photos, and I loved just the way the aerial photography worked out.
Yeah.
And then I had a TV fishing show, and we used to film fishing tournaments with a helicopter also. But then I heard about drones, and it's amazing because drones, you get the aerial shots and you don't need a helicopter. And some of the drones, especially today, are incredible. They're phenomenal. The cameras that are on drones really take incredible video and photographs, really.
They do. Yeah. Well, that leads me into, you mentioned something about your previous history in law enforcement. Can you tell us a little bit more about that background and where you're at today?
Yeah, well, again, it all started when I was drafted into the Army, believe it or not, back in 1971,
Oh, wow.
And I became a military policeman. And then I did my 2 years up in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. And then as soon as I got discharged, I was hired on a police department in Massachusetts. And I became a sergeant. But then I wanted to get on a bigger department and want to get back to Long Island, where I'm from. And I was accepted on the Suffolk County Police Department back in 1975. And then I became a detective. I worked at quite a few, 10 years undercover at narcotics. And then my last 15 years, I was in the Special Victims Unit, and we did child sex abuse investigations. But, and then I retired.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to start flying drones. So I bought a toy drone. I think a lot of us drone pilots started with the toy drones. $63, but that thing wouldn't fly. It would not fly. And I gave it up. I gave it up for 2 years.
Okay. Well, excuse me. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the drone industry since you took that up?
Well, then, somebody told me about DJI drones, and Ray, you should try a Phantom 4, and my drone instructor, who was a friend of mine, he had a Phantom 4, he showed it to me, let me fly it, and I found it so easy to fly. It was incredible. And the following week, I went out and bought one. And then I was hooked. Once you buy a pretty good drone, you get hooked on drones and drone flying.
Yep, I like it. And that reminds me of something that I personally hear from you quite a bit. The question is, what do you usually tell folks or kids about that at the end of your videos?
Well, it's one of those things where I worked in narcotics. You know, there's a lot of people that have drug problems, and I want to do my part to try to keep kids off of drugs. So I have the tagline, let's get kids hooked on drones, not drugs.
Yep, I love that. I love that. Well, so what motivated you to start your YouTube channel? Now, I know we've talking about drones a lot, and I'm sure that's a big part of it. What other things that have been maybe memorable moments in that, and as well? And you started a YouTube channel, but what was memorable about that and got you into it?
Well, I'll tell you, I did. I had a TV fishing show also, and I did one YouTube video, and I didn't do it again for another 9 years or so. And then I started flying drones, and I found out about these YouTubers that had these drone YouTube channels, and I started watching them, learning. You learn so much watching these expert drone pilots, and they're more than happy to share their information with you, and I learned so much. And then Drone Nation, that was one of my favorites. They had me and a fella named Johnny Drone Flyer, Johnny Alfonso from Louisiana, on as guests. And after we did that little segment with them, Johnny called me up the following week. He says, "You want to start one?" I said, "What?" But to make a long story short, we agreed on starting a drone show called the Fly for Fun Show. And it's been a lot of fun doing that show with Johnny.
It is, and I've personally watched that show quite a bit. I've watched it for over 5 years, I guess it's been now.
Yeah,
it's been something like that. Well, as far as the community side of it, how has that impacted your life, both personally and professionally? And I know you're retired, but personally, I guess would be the bigger question. How has that affected you?
Well, personally, I get so much enjoyment out of flying drones. I really do. And I enjoy flying with other drone pilots rather than by myself. And we have these mini meetups, you call them. And it's one of those things where it's just a different world when you're looking at it from a drone's perspective. Absolutely. And like I said earlier, the video and the photographs that you get from a drone is awesome.
With that, what are your favorite drones to fly then?
Well, like I said, DJI. I got hooked on DJI. I bought one Autel. I wasn't that happy with it, and I'm a big, I guess you could say, DJI fanboy, but I got quite a few of them. Yep.
So do I. Well, what advice would you give someone just starting in the drone hobby, especially regarding regulations and safety?
Well, again, do your research prior to flying. Make sure you have your trust certificate where you have to get certified and pass an exam. And if you really want to go further with it, get your Part 107. And I shouldn't plug somebody on your show. Can I plug somebody on your show?
Sure.
Well, I always recommend pilotinstitute.com because Greg Reverde and Pilot Institute have a great course on getting your Part 107 license. And it's fun, and then you can start making money with your drone.
That's true. Well, and you bring up Pilot Institute. Now, we actually had some sponsorship from Greg as well during a recent winter flying event we just did in Richmond, Virginia. So we're aware of Greg, and he's great, and they're a great company. Yes. We really like them. Well, and I guess the next thing that comes to mind for me is what's been the most exciting or challenging drone flight experience? I guess what stands out for you?
Well, I've been fortunate where I haven't had any crashes, I haven't had any flyaways, but so like I say, I've been with pilots, have had flyaways, and you feel so bad when that happens. But the best thing that I've found is myself and Ken Huffbauer and Matty Cundiff and an old fart with a drone. That was his YouTube channel, Mitch. We flew and had a little mini meetup, and then we said, let's do it again. And that came up, we all came up with the idea of having the South Florida Drone Meetup. And that's been, I wouldn't say challenging, but it's a lot of work. And it's, again, a great way for drone pilots throughout the country and the world. Now we have international drone pilots that come to it. Get together annually, and we fly and have a good time.
Absolutely.
I have an awesome South Florida Drone Meetup committee, and we all sort of bounce ideas off to try to make this event better every year. But it's all about flying together, camaraderie, sharing drone knowledge, and having a great time, really.
And I agree totally. It's for me.
And
oh, go ahead.
Brad, just to let everybody know, Brad is on the South Florida Drone Meetup Committee.
And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and even, you know, front line type of scene stuff as well, and working with you, Ray. So let kind of round this up a little bit. What's next for the drone space? Meaning, we have South Florida Drone Meetup. This has been the 5th annual, this trip. We started in Sebastian, near Palm Bay, Florida, in 2021, and we've since had 4 events at Jensen Beach, Causeway Park. And what's in the future? What's the future hold for this event?
Well, I know we've had suggestions to move the location, but to be honest with you, that is an ideal location to fly. In 4 years now, you know, there have been no issues, and we get quite a crowd. 125 to 100 drone pilots show up for the past 2 years, and it's just a great place to fly. We do have a second day of flying at this location where we're at right now, Dolman Park Beachside, and we just have a great time.
We do. Well, I appreciate you sitting with us today and taking my questions. And what are your final thoughts, and how would you like to close out today?
Well, I would just like to invite everybody out there, whether you fly drones or not, to come to the South Florida Drone Meetup. We'll teach you how to fly, and we try to get children involved in flying drones. We encourage adults and parents to bring children to the event, and this year we had the most amount of children at the event, and it was good to see that.
It's very nice. Well, thank you, Ray. I'll slide into frame here to the last second, and say hi to folks. You know, this has been a great event, and I've enjoyed it. And this is day number 2, and we're just socializing for our last get together with the folks that are still here. Some have already left this morning, last night, and some will leave tomorrow. But Ray's been he's always a great host, and makes sure everybody's enjoying themselves, the committee as well. And we do a lot of work for this event. And I really love the community. I know Ray does. He's touched upon that many times. And I'd like to continue to work with you, and hopefully number 6 will be bigger and even better. I mean, a lot of lessons learned each and every year, like you spoke about earlier. Yeah. And I look forward to next year. But Ray, thank you so much.
I got to say thank you for all your help. You're one of the key members of the South Florida Drone Meetup Committee. And just to let everybody know, Brad makes our badges. I wish I had one. We should have had one to show you, but maybe he can add that in later. But he does a phenomenal job with that, and we get Pilot Institute lanyards with it. And Brad also makes every year a new design for our coasters. He makes coasters for us all. So thank you, Brad, really.
You're welcome. That's my part of giving back to the community. It's a little piece, and everybody does something. There's a lot of contributors to this event, a lot of donations, and I guess maybe this is a little cheesy, but there's a lot of love in the community when we get together for these things. And we're all like brothers and sisters, and I always say a funny saying, it's like a family reunion, but you like everybody. Yeah. Some family reunions don't always go well, and I know that's not always the case. But anyway, in closing, again, thank you, Ray. And we're going to go back to enjoying some time with our friends. And thank you for pulling away for 15 minutes with me, Ray. And we'll do this again next time.
Sounds good.
Thank you again, Ray. Have a good day.
Hey, great interview.
Yeah, that was good.
Nice
I
job.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And it was a great interview, too. Ray is really on the ball. When you ask him a question, he's got an answer
Sure.
for it.
He's a personality. He mentioned in the interview that he used to have a fishing show. So, camera is something he's not shy around.
That's right.
So he does the thing every week from his place, right? And what nights is that show? Just so we know other people.
Captain Ray does a show on Thursday nights. And
Thursday
I think
nights.
it's 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm
Right.
hoping I'm saying
And it's a
that.
live show, right?
It is a live show.
And I think you can catch it on YouTube maybe as reruns if you wanted to, right? But the live show is on Thursday.
Thursday at 6 or 7 p.m. I should have
Gotcha.
but it's somewhere in that
Check
range.
it out. But great fun. You can join in on a show like that, and you add to the chat and everything else,
It's
right?
Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly.
Right.
Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly.
Right. Yep. It's on YouTube, and a lot of fun. And like I say, he answers to everybody. He does shout outs to everybody throughout the entire show, and usually has one or two guests through the show. So good information, good fun, and it really is. He's more of the community guy. They don't get into the weeds about laws and stuff too much. He really just kind of talks to the community, and everybody likes him. And I think that's why he's so popular, and that's why this thing we're going to talk about right now, this South Florida Drone Meetup, is such a success. Tell me about the people that come to that.
Well, I guess give backstory on that a little bit. Ray and a couple other folks decided they wanted to have a little mini meetup in Florida some 5 years ago, over 5 years ago. So they scouted out some locations and they ended up having like a 4-person meetup. Well, then they
Just
wanted
4 people.
Just 4 people, I think, is what it was.
And how many people do we have today?
Oh my gosh! What I just left last weekend was 125 to 150 people, somewhere in that range. So it grew over the years. It started in Palm Bay, Florida, for one event, and then we moved down to Stuart, Florida, Jensen Beach.
Right.
And it's been very successful.
Right. And Ray mentioned, at the very end, how you're a big part of that. You make these things that, like the lanyard he talked about, and then you're caught, handing those out. So you work these events as much as you do anything else, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of the behind the scenes for a lot of the events. I try to, if I can make it to the event, I'm going to do what I can to help. And some of them I'm a committee member. Some of them I'm just helping whoever the host is.
Sure.
More or less a committee member.
So where was it this year?
This year, the South Florida Drone Meetup was at Jensen Beach, Florida. It's right outside. It's in Stuart, Florida area.
Right.
And it's at Jensen Beach Causeway Park.
Okay.
And that's where we have the main event every year.
Gotcha. And then there's other events surrounding it, right? And I noticed there was a little pre-show before. The actual dates. What are the actual dates for the event?
Actual dates this year were April 4th, 5th, and 6th, which is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But some of you guys started a few days early, right?
Well, this year I took advantage. A couple of years back, some of them started showing up earlier, making a full week out of it, bringing family maybe, or they just wanted to get there early to fly a little bit and figure out lay of the land,
right? Yep.
And enjoy it without the bigger crowd, which it's something to be said about that. A little smaller crowd get together.
Sure. So
this year I decided to go on Tuesday. My trip actually started 5 days prior to that. I went to my sister's house in Lake Mary, Florida, and stayed with her for a little while and visited my brother that lives up the road from her in Deltona. And then I drove down there on Tuesday and started meeting up with about a dozen people that had already arrived.
Already a dozen people for this. This is 3 days before the actual event. So this just shows you the popularity of this event. It's not like nothing else, to have this many days that people desire to come down there. And, while the cost of the event is what?
The cost of the event is zero.
Free.
It's a free event.
Right.
And everything that's donated is free.
Yeah.
We get donations from all over the place.
Absolutely amazes me when I see Captain Ray Kelly comes on and does those short things that's showing that this person donated this and this person donated that. And he's got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of donations for everybody to come down. You told me at one point that everybody's name was pulled through the whole group, and then you had to start pulling again.
Well, this year we worked it out a little bit better this year logistically to make sure we went through the list one time. Sure. But the prior years, last year, the year before, we actually went through, like you said, pulled names or tickets twice. So almost everybody got 2 different prizes or donations, gifts. And sometimes those included multiple items, like a shirt and a hat,
Sure.
or a mug and a hat, or something along those lines.
Right. And anybody can go, right?
Right. Anybody can go. Even people. It's an open park. Jensen Beach Causeway Park is an open park. We can't reserve it or anything, but we kind of take it over in a nice way. And people just walk up. Some fishermen walk up. People just riding around. So yeah.
So the big day is day 5, but you all droned a couple other locations. Where were those other locations?
So the days before, if you're speaking of those, when I arrived earlier in the week, we went to a couple different places. Jupiter, Florida seems to be a hot destination for us prior to the event. Ray Kelly flies there a lot. There's a lot of secret locations, and that's a real funny thing in the community with Ray. He's got about 100 secret locations that
nobody knows.
Nobody knows where they're at except for if you watch his videos. Everybody knows. So Jensen. We went to Jensen Beach to look at the lay of the land, just to see. We've been there before. We've also went to a couple places like House of Refuge, which is a very historic facility there, and nice flying conditions on like a little, I think it's a peninsula kind of thing, where the water was on both sides. We had an intercoastal. Anyway, we flew the Jupiter Lighthouse for sunrise couple of mornings.
Nice. And some pictures of that you can share right now.
Yeah, and then there's a park called Dubois Park, I think is the way it's supposed to be pronounced, but everybody's been jokingly saying Dubois or Duboisy Park, but that was another fun place to fly.
Very good, very good. So a lot of people showed up on the 5th, obviously. How were the conditions that day?
On the 5th or the 4th, I'm back up one day. The 4th is a Friday, and that's when most everybody's arriving or has arrived by that evening. We went during the day and kind of flew just to see how the conditions were. Windy that day. But on the 5th, the day of the main event, we arrived before daybreak. We always try to catch sunrise there. The winds were 20 sustained, saying about 30 gust.
That's pretty good.
But that progressed through the day.
And most flew. Nobody had any problems.
We didn't have the usual amount of flying. Usually we try to do the most drones in the air at once. I think last year, and I don't know the number in my head. I think it was 28 drones in the air at one time, getting like a selfie of the group.
Right.
So this year, the winds were way too high for that, and it's over water, so it's very risky.
Right.
The peninsula, the Causeway Park is very narrow, but there's water on both sides of the intercoastal. And but some people were flying, believe it or not, in 35-mile-an-hour gust at the moment, DJI Neo, which the Neo, and it was flying like this, or like this, however you want to look at it. And it was flying.
Wow.
It didn't go down. We only had maybe 1 or 2 drones have little issues with the wind. We had one hit a little post one time with props and damaged the props, but nothing really major. So
that's good.
It's great.
Now, when you're not flying, there's all kinds of other things going on. Tell me what happened.
Oh my gosh! So even pre-event when I was there, a lot of getting together for food, meals, flying at the Stewart Hampton Inn. That's the hotel that everybody goes to that wants to stay with the group, and there's usually 25 or 30 rooms set aside for that.
Nice.
And we sit out in the parking lot, talk, and just fly drones. We go to the lobby and hang out there, but mostly there's a lot of hanging out, going to eat food. And
but wasn't there a bar that you guys were?
Okay, so that was on the night before. That's the social for the event itself,
and that belongs to one of the drone guys, right?
Well, he's the manager of it. Bill Ronayne is his name.
Okay.
Bill Ronayne is his name, and everybody calls him Uncle Bill. That's his channel's name. And he manages the Stewart Bowl, which is a bowling alley, and then there's also a billiard hall next door called Sticks, and he manages all that. And he and I guess the owners have graciously agreed to have that location as the social event for the event, and they provide food. They also donate two $50 gift cards, and those go out. We get tickets when we come in, and usually the person that wins it throws it back into the pot and pays for people's drinks, foods.
Cool. That's cool.
But they also do a little bit of catering as well, and lots of catering. Excuse me, I don't want to make that a light subject. There's a lot of good food that Bill and the folks there that bring out for the committee and the event.
And sure, and again, besides the socializing there, it's kind of a trade too. Like there's a lot of people bring some things, and there's a lot of trading going on. You got T-shirts you brought from it, right? right?
Yes.
We've always got some nice T-shirts from the event.
I got a stack here of T-shirts. Most of these were donated. I purchased.
You made some items here too.
I did.
Right.
Of course, made the cork coasters.
Right.
And that's the cork coaster that I donate to the event. And I also create the lanyards, which we have here.
And you're wearing a nice shirt too. So somebody's making those. Is that just for the team members or the committee members?
This was actually open for everybody. There's a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Alms that lives in Las Vegas area. He has a company called Some Shirt Guy.
Okay.
And he set these up on his website for people to order.
Well, it's good high quality stuff.
Yeah, very high quality. I ordered this one and also ordered a nice, this is a collared shirt. I also ordered a nice T-shirt too.
And that's kind of what makes the event so good too, because it's well branded. Everybody knows about it. You come home with stuff. As a matter of fact, if you didn't get one of your spinners, you can pick up one of those. If you were unable to get one of those from this year's thing, or would like to have one, we have those on the website at iflydrones.com under the shop area, and you can grab one of those. We're still making those available, right, for anybody that calls us. So good stuff. I mean, it sounds like you guys had a good time. What's the date for next year?
Next year's event, Captain Ray has already set that, and we've talked about it in the committee, and we've set that as April 10th through the 12th, Friday through Sunday. We had to move it out a week. Easter is the prior Sunday, so we did not want to interfere with people's Easter celebrations. So we moved it out 1 week to April 10th through the 12th.
That'll be fun.
And there'll still be a group of people that'll show up. There'll be even more this year, or next year, 2026, that will show up around Tuesday of the week. So if you can make it, it's a good time during the week.
A whole week of drone.
Oh my gosh. And I stayed 7 days and 6 nights. So I did get a whole week of droning.
Holy cow.
It was fun.
You know, and it was really nice as Captain Ray mentioned you at the end and thanked you for the hard work you do, and you're part of the team. Who else is part of that team?
On the committee, the South Florida Drone Committee, Ray is the host and part of the committee. He is the head of the committee. It's myself and Johnny Alfonso, Bill Ronayne, and Maddie Cundiff, and Al Cercherone. And that's the committee members. And I don't want to make light of the other people that help as well. We have other people that step in and help during the event. I could go into a whole lot of details about Bill Ronayne. He sat and kept a live feed going for 9 hours that day on YouTube. And that's out there.
So people put a lot of their time and money into this thing.
Everybody on here.
That's why it's such a huge success, and it'll continue to be. I hope that I'm there next year, so we'll definitely look forward to putting that on the calendar. So that'll be on our events calendar too.
That's right.
And you guys have a special gift this year from Captain Ray, right?
So Captain Ray called me aside early on in the event and said, "Hey, I got a little gift for you." And he went to the back of the car and he opened up and he said, "Here, Brad, I'd like you to have this." So he got me a nice
the B-Rad style hat.
This is my signature at most all the events for the last 6 years. I mean, every event I go to, this is where you can see me in a crowd. I'm tall anyway.
Sure, but it's a great Floridian looking hat too.
It is.
It's not really cowboy. It's more Floridian than cowboy.
It is. And I love it. So I now have, I had one, a little quick story. I had one that I bought at St. Augustine like 10, 12 years ago with my wife. And then I started wearing it to these events. And then 2 years ago, I was at one in Florida, and it was starting to crumble, so I had to leave it behind. I had to actually leave it at the hotel room. I sat it on the bed.
Said goodbye.
I said goodbye. It was a sad moment.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, well, we got the dates for next year. We'll put them right here on our screen. And don't forget, coming up in just another week, this show should air just a week before May the 3rd, which is an event right here in the Virginia area in Williamsburg at the Waltrip Williamsburg Executive Airport. We got What's Up with Drones. And by the way, that day is special for all of us out there. It's the International Drone Day, which is an actual thing. It was put together some years back, and that's a proclamation that is real. And so all around the world, they do celebrate that, and we're going to be celebrating it here. So if you're out there anywhere around the country and want to join us in Williamsburg, come on out. It's all kinds of great stuff there to see as well. And there will be some drone flying, but mostly this is more exhibitions and things like that than just fun flying.
And also, this is a free event.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a free event.
Absolutely free. I love free.
It's free. It's a fun event.
All right. Well, that's what they concluded for our show. And thanks again. Thank you, B-Rad, for making it.
Me. Yeah.
And fly safe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.